I'm hanging out with the winners right here, the backseat. What is going on? Look at you guys got all the gold.
I mean, this is just the start, but everything comes full circle for the Backseat Boys. Wrestling is now the Spanish announce team. You guys were the first to take a chance on the Backseat Boys, and now we solidified ourselves and closed the gap and broke the curse and became the first ever two-time Wrestling is Now Tag Team Champions.
That's right. Looking at the new Wrestling is Now Tag Team Champions, the new Spell Wrestling Tag Team Champions, and still the JCW Tag Team Champions. What more could we possibly fucking ask for? More gold and competition. That being said, this is the era of the Backseat Boys. Stay tuned for more.
We challenge anybody to pull up and challenge us for these belts because they ain't going nowhere. They're staying with us in the backseat. Whoop whoop, much clown love.
Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations, the Backseat Boys.
How are you guys feeling? Good. I was like, don't leave Samira out. She's the first lady of social influence. Honestly. The first, and realistically the only. We're not accepting new clients at this time. Not this time. But, how can we not be here? We are the new Titan Tag Team Champions. We finally won these belts that we've been chasing for 7 months now. Isn't that insane? 7 months? We're here.
Yeah.
You
gotta keep
we're here. Who isn't? Who wasn't here? Yeah, is it a Drupal or something? I don't know what that means. I don't know that no.
His name is Shakes.
Triangles? Well, it doesn't matter. So
I'm hanging out with the one and only Willow Nightingale. Today you were inducted to NYWC Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think the only thing there is to feel is honored. I started training here 10 years ago, and so many of the people who have influenced me and taught me, trained me, shown me guidance are on these walls, and it feels bizarre and surreal to be joining them.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Willow. Congratulations on all your success as well.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Willow Nightingale, everybody.
Trained me, shown me guidance are on these walls, and it feels bizarre and surreal to be joining them.
He's a good guy. He's an outright kind of guy. But listen, we got Slime Bowl City tickets.
I'm Cora, and I am your winner of this.
I like it, Dark Papa Nick. You don't? Are you scared of the Dark Papa Nick?
It's great. It's great. I can't wait.
honestly, the first, and realistically the only.
I'm doing great. How are you?
I did steal it last time, but it's in safe hands. My son is watching it.
Are you positive?
Yeah, my son is watching.
Look at me! I'm a physical specimen.
Very spicy, very spicy.
You got the dirt.
I wish.
I literally love conventions. Like, I'm gonna try to get through her. That's my motivation.
What's your home? I wish I could.
Come in soon. You can check her out on Monster Slam. Welcome everybody to Beyond the Barricade. Your host Papa Dank, and I have a very special guest tonight and a very special co-host over here laughing her butt off over there. Let me bring to you the one Leva Bates. Hold on, let me add you onto stage. I'm at JFK Airport, Leva.
Woo! Hello. I'm in my living room. I'm a little bit more comfortable than you are if you're at the airport.
Yeah, definitely
Wait,
more
I
comfortable.
hope you're parked and not like in the area where you pick someone up, because you're gonna get a security guard yelling at you, going, "You need to move your car."
No, I've been parked for hours here, so it costs me a fortune to get out of here.
Oh no! You live there now.
I live here now. Thank you, Brittany.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right, let's go over some stuff you got going on. Obviously, tomorrow is a big one. Big event right there.
Woo-hoo!
Leva Bates, courtesy of DNS Wrestling Collectibles. Coach David, my pal. Make sure you message him, Coach David73 at AOL.com for all your wrestling collectibles, right, Leva?
Heck yeah! DNS
He's really got some good stuff.
They're awesome. They're actually wonderful people. They're bringing me not only to the big event, but also the WrestleCade. So I hope they don't get sick of me yet. After this weekend, 'cause we have one more weekend.
WrestleCade, definitely come down, check out Leva.
Woohoo! But yeah, no, I'm really excited about the big event. We were talking offline earlier that this might be the first time this year I've been doing anything in the Northeast, at least the second half of the year, because I was doing a lot of stuff in Pennsylvania. Last year, I was actually champion at PPW, so I was there almost every month. And then I did a signing at the Wrestle Store, but I'm going to say that was this time last year, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a whole year. So Northeast, I'm back.
A whole year. That's great. And also, you'll be at Victory Pro Wrestling on Saturday for Blue November as you're going up against Kyla Knight.
I am. I'm excited. We've never wrestled each other, so I'm ready to get in there and see what we can do together. I had a fun little promo. She's the outlier. I talked about how librarians can be outliers. She's been in a lot of ventures, but she's about to take on the final boss.
The final boss.
Me, because I'm old and I have a lot of experience, and I'm the final boss. I don't know. I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate and D&D, so.
Is that what you got in the background?
Yeah, it's well, actually, it's a lot of stuff. This is a lot of board games here. Board games, card games, and if you look over here, there's a lot of D&D stuff and my player handbooks and some dice, and then more board games and card games.
Awesome.
And then this is actual books. And then if you go over here, you can't really see it. It's a whole collection of Korean K-pop albums. And then we have like comics over here and here.
Oh, I knew you were a comic fan. Now, what's your favorite comic?
Man. Of all time?
Of all time. I'll tell you mine after you tell me your favorite.
It's hard to pick.
There's got to be one that you go, man, this is it.
All right. So when I was working at the comic book store, I thought House of M rocked my world. But right before that, Avengers Disassembled was amazing as well.
That was a great story.
I love their overarching storylines. I just love that type of stuff. I really was into like X-Force, but I also like a lot of DC as well. So especially when I worked at the comic book store, it was a lot easier. So I could just be like, oh, we're not busy. I'm going to.
I just went today, actually.
Or you get discounts, so I was able to buy a lot more stuff than I am now. But like I remember Identity Crisis really was like, holy moly, that's amazing. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. So Hush was always, I think that's somewhere on the shelf as well. So it's just I love like the big overarching storylines.
Okay. Well, we're talking story. I'm talking about your favorite character.
Oh, character. Okay, I thought you meant the actual book itself. Oh God. So I don't know if Batman is my favorite character, but it's when I was little, Batman the animated series is what really got me into comic books, and then the Batman movie, and mainly Batman Returns, because I was obsessed with Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. When I grew up, I was going to be her. That was the whole goal.
That's the plan.
That was my goal in life. I didn't quite turn out that way, but I'm still pretty good. But like Gambit is my comic book boyfriend, so it's there's a lot of different. I have a lot of favorites. So
gotcha. Mine has to be the ever amazing Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's a really good one too. Really good one. Wait, is it Peter? I'm assuming Peter.
Peter Parker. Yeah, that's what I grew up with.
I wonder, because you're, in the Northeast, New York area. I wonder if that vibes with you more because he's in New York, especially like from
in Queens.
So yeah, so I wonder if that kind of like your hometown hero type thing, because he legit is your hometown hero. That's really cool. I didn't even think about that.
And he's poor.
Yeah,
he's not rich.
Well,
he don't have money.
We all vibe with that.
All of us can relate to that. whether we're in wrestling or not.
My algorithm right now is almost all Tom Holland at the moment. I don't know. I watched a couple of videos on Instagram of Tom Holland and must have liked them. Now it's all Tom Holland, but he's so charming. I'm not even mad about it. So I'm like, okay. So my algorithm loves Spider-Man, apparently.
Of Tom Holland as well. All right. Sunday, we have a signing over at NYWC Sportatorium in Deer Park, New York. Come down and check out Leva. Once again, brought to you by DNS Wrestling Collectibles. He will have some figures there and signed memorabilia there as well.
Woohoo! I'm excited.
Woohoo.
So
I'm excited
that
too.
was kind of like, hey, we're doing something on Sunday before you fly out. And I'm like, let's go, bring it on. I'm in. Let's do it.
That's awesome. All right, let's start off with, man, let's start off with how you fell in love with professional wrestling. I know everybody hates that question, but I'm not.
Yeah, no, it's not that we hate the question. It's just a lot of people ask that. But I grew up watching it. I grew up, you know, I don't have to give away my age, but, you know, in the heyday, I watched, you know, the WWF with the cartoon and all the colorful characters.
Right.
So it's crazy. I grew up with a lot of guys I, you know, have worked with now in my life. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, I grew up watching it. Like I had my grandmother would like watch me when mom would have to work, and her neighbor was a little boy about a year or two younger than me named Patrick, and he was also into wrestling. So it just kind of, we fueled each other's love for wrestling. So we'd watch wrestling, and then we had the figures. He had the big rubbery ones. I had like the little, like, I think they're from Hasbro, like the little ones that had like a little bit of action. And then there was like a little local, because I lived in Kentucky, a little local wrestling show like right down the neighborhood. So we would go. I mean, this is back in the day when you were like, we're just gonna walk to the show. Because that's what you did. You know, there wasn't like, you know, internet or anything. You really had to go outside and play. So we would go to the wrestling show. I mean, granted, I think his parents would have to take us, you know, but I pay for it at least. But yeah, we go watch live wrestling, you know, with the local guys. There was like a hillbilly Jim type character there. I can't remember his name now, but I have a picture, a Polaroid picture with them sitting on the ring, like.
Right. That's
it was
awesome.
just super cool. It was just really cool. Like, I've always loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the stories. I loved just everything was so over the top. And then, you know, even a little bit later on, you know, when you like, especially in the 90s or whatever, and, you know, early 2000s, you're like, hey, you know, when you hit puberty, you're like, I'm not supposed to be watching this. Girls don't watch wrestling. Like a year later, I was like, that's bullshit. Because I was hanging out with some friends, they were watching wrestling, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, nah, I watch wrestling. I don't care if someone makes fun of me. So that was also around the time of like the Monday Night Wars. So all the crazy stuff going on with, like, you know, you had stuff happening on WWE with like the Lorena Bobbitt storyline where Val Venus had his thingy cut off. But then you also have like, you know, Nitro and like all those, like NWO, and crazy things happening. And I invited a couple of guys over, but one time I was like, Mom, I'm having a couple people over to watch wrestling. They told their friends, other friends told their friends. We ended up having like my mom's little house full of like 30 kids, and we were having a big old Nitro party.
Oh my God.
So mom was like, well, guess I'm making cookies. So it was wild. But yeah, we would always like wrestle around. I broke one of mom's my papa, my grandfather, who was big into westerns. He loves westerns. Like like him and my granny went to the West to see all of the places and sites. So he had like this big cowboy picture of John Wayne. I think somebody got for him. But when he passed away, mom had it, so she put it on the wall. We were wrestling, and I got slammed into it. I broke the frame. So we all had to stop what we were doing because mom was not paying attention. Grabbed the duct tape the back of it so we couldn't tell it was broken, and put it back on the wall. She never said anything about it. I don't think she ever knew, but she might have known. I think eventually when she moved it, She that's when she found out. She goes, I knew. And I'm like,
Yeah.
after how long though? She was like,
Or
that I'm
John
not
Wayne.
sure.
Or John Wayne.
Poor John Wayne. Couldn't take a bump.
Couldn't take a bomb. That's right. So let everybody know, where did you go train and who are your trainers, even though I already know. And what were your thoughts during your
No,
initial time?
I didn't like set out to be a wrestler. I just something I always enjoyed. But I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a performer. So I went to school for theater, radio, TV production, minored in dance. Got a lot of different odd-end jobs, like worked at the Dude Ranch, whatever, as an entertainer, and then ended up at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, as an entertainer. I went there specifically to be Sarah Connor. By the way, I ended up being Sarah Connor. Boom.
Did you?
I mean, hanging out with Sarah Connor. You never say. Anyway, but that was my goal. But I also started doing a lot of other shows there as well. TNA was filming there, and I would go because it's like every 2 weeks you can watch wrestling. I'm still into wrestling. I was going to FIP that was hitting all over, Florida. So I would go watch those shows. That was like an hour or two away whenever they would happen. So I was big into like watching wrestling still at the time. And I met a lot of people. They're like, well, if you do acting and dance and stunts, why don't you wrestle? And I'm like, it wasn't part of the curriculum at the university. And they're like, come to wrestling school with us. So I ended up going with a couple of people to a school called FXE. It was ran by AJ Gallant, but Matt Bentley and Devon Dudley were the trainers as well. So I went there on a whim, literally a whim. I was like, why not?
Yeah, right.
And I was like, yeah, I'll probably just manage or something. And then they got me in, like, you want to try to take a bump? I'm like, sure. Whoa. They're like, if you just went in and did that, you're more than a manager. You're going to be a wrestler. And the next thing I know, I signed up that day, and the trajectory of my life has changed. So after that school was only around when I was there for maybe a year, maybe only like 6 months, and then it closed. But Devon Dudley had decided to start his own school with Bubba to have their own Team 3D Academy. So I followed Devon because I'm like, well, he's literally done everything in every company in this business. He would know what to do to get there. And then, I met Bubba, and Bubba has such a great mind for the business as well, business and the psychology of it. So yeah, started doing, and pretty much they've been my two dads my entire career of wrestling. Like I trained with them and followed their guidance. But yeah, that's mainly where like the rest of my training was happened. I started the very beginning at FXE, but then Devon and Bubba took over, and I'm one of their kids.
David's in the comments. What's up, David?
What's up?
I'm trying to, it's hard to run this with I'm a big tall guy, so I got big hands. So it's hard to touch the little things. All right, let's go into NXT. Tell me about how the Blue Pants character came to be, and what is your fondest memory?
It's it was a lightning in a bottle joke moment that took off. Like it wasn't a planned thing. Blue Pants was not a plan. At the time I was doing rosebuds. They were bringing me in to do like rosebudding. They knew I had a collection of costumes, and I, was willing to go out there and dance like a fool, right? So for a while I was doing a lot of like rosebudding, especially at live events with them. So they gave me a call, and they're like, hey, we want to bring you in to NXT. And I'm like, oh, as a rosebud? He goes, no, as a wrestler. And I'm like, oh, am I wrestling as a rosebud? John Coleman's like, no, you're gonna wrestle as you. No, I'm like,
really?
Well, what do I wear? I was doing so much cosplay and wrestling and doing rosebudding. So all I've ever done, at that point was just so many crazy costumes. He was like, just wrestling gear. You got this. Just bring a lot of things. So I brought a whole suitcase of crazy stuff. But the day of, like, I got there and like, hey, Triple H wants you to get in the ring with Carmella with him. Now I'm like, okay. So I went to go put on workout clothes, in my crazy haste, I forgot to pack workout pants. And I'm like, oh, what am I to wear? So I saw that I had, because I had my X-Men gear. It was like the blue pants, but it had a little yellow band that had the X on it. And I'm like, okay, that will work as my workout pants. And I just put a t-shirt on. It was like an MC Chris t-shirt. So I ran to the ring and, kind of talked with, Triple H and Carmella, because it was her debut. So they wanted to see what her finisher looked like, how, it does, he was asking me a lot of opinions on how does this feel? What do you think? Do you like this? Blah, blah, blah. It was really kind of cool because he asked me my opinion and I'm like, you're asking me my opinion? So I'm wearing these blue pants, right? And the boys were off to the side kind of going over because like, oh, we're going to do a promo. So we're going to do our match. And then when we're done with our match, we're going to be like, surprise, we got something for you, Carmella, your first match. And then that's when they were calling me down. So I actually was getting an entrance of sort, which again, at the time, very much at the time, never happened. You didn't have, an extra or jobber or whatever you want to call them, get an entrance. But they're like, oh, we're going to have her be like, and I looked over and I was wearing the blue pants. Girl in the blue pants, come on down. And then Sarah Mato, which a lot of you guys may know as Sarah Del Rey, she's a coach there now. She looked over at me. She goes, well, I guess you're wearing the blue pants, aren't you? And I'm like, yep, good thing I brought the rest of it. So it was kind of just like how that happened. So they call me down, like when it's time for the show, actually 2 seconds right before I go out, they're like, oh, you have the X-Men symbol. That might be trademarked. I'm like, well, it's technically not the exact symbol, so we should be okay. And like, do you mind? Like the agent was like, do you mind if you just flip it down and hide it? And I'm like, absolutely, yeah. Boop. And then I just flipped it down and went out. Literally went right out. And it was just such a crazy moment because they were singing the Price is Right song, like humming the tune, calling me down. Since they were humming that tune, I was dancing. I feel like a lot of people, if you would have called them blue pants, they would have been like, blue pants? I'm a person. Like I'm a wrestler. Whereas I'm like, I am wearing blue pants. I know, right? You're awesome. And so I was like dancing, saying that. And then the crowd, I think it was a combination of just having fun with the moment, but also a lot of people did recognize me from the indies. So they just started chanting blue pants, because I was just dancing, doing that. And then we got a blue pants chant, and of course the match itself was really short, obviously, because it was, to make Carmella look like a badass, and she was. And it went really, really well. And we went in the back, and Triple H was waiting for us, and he was like, you guys got a blue pants chant. And he just starts laughing. He goes, a blue pants chant. And he just starts like, whoa, laugh. So the next week I get a call going, hey, you want to bring those blue pants back? And I'm like, sure, why not? And then every week was like, hey, we have a new idea. You want to bring those blue pants back? And that's literally how blue pants was. It was a one-time appearance that lasted for a year and a half. Actually,
that's awesome.
A little bit more over a year and a half. It started slowing down a little bit because the writer who was writing for Blue Pants went to SmackDown, and then they were bringing me to SmackDown, but there was just never really a lot of spots. So I would be backstage at SmackDown, but not really used. Hey, what's up? But then I broke my ankle. And then, but it was a really cool, one-of-a-kind experience for at the time and ever, because I mean, what it was
awesome.
Like, it was almost like a science experiment. We're like, let's try this, okay, and well, what if we give you a little Titantron with a pair of pants? Okay, hey, we want to give you a merch contract and do a t-shirt but with a pair of pants on the t-shirt. Yes. I was trying to push to get a pair of pants, but they weren't really doing pants at the time. So they were really like, I think now if blue pants existed now, they would
Right.
sell the hell out of some pants. Because I think people
It
would
would.
buy blue pants. I wish you know what? Maybe I'll just make blue pants. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. You
If
make the
you're
blue
watching
pants.
this and you want to buy a pair of blue pants with my name or face on it, let me know. I might try to figure out how to do that. So, but yeah, like it was just a weird, like, let's try this. And we're like, and I was like, ooh, or let's try this. And and it was a lot of fun. It
Right.
was I didn't know what to expect. I honestly didn't know if I was going to get called the next week. And the next thing you know, there's my call next week.
There's your
Sometimes it's
call.
day of, sometimes it's like 5 days before, or sometimes they told me, all right, so we're going to bring you next week and we're going to do this. Never knew. It was chaos, but I thrive in chaos. So it worked out.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff for sure. All right, let's talk about AEW. Tell us about the beginning days of AEW and just what your general thoughts about AEW.
So with AEW, I reached out to them way before I did the librarian video, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like, we really pretty much have the girls we need right now. We're not really adding anyone else right in. I'm like, all right, that's cool. But then like I ran into like Cody a couple times in the indies, and just we knew each other from WWE too. So
Nice.
I get a message from him going, hey, we're doing this thing where we're auditioning people to be a librarian for BTE. We want like people with a name, some notable faces to do this. We love
Right.
for you to do this, and I can probably say this now because I'll pay you to do it. And I'm like, done it for free, but you don't tell people that if they're willing
Right.
to pay you for something. So,
Right.
so you're like, oh yeah, absolutely. For me, it was
Yeah.
like, oh, this would be really cool to be on BTE, and it definitely make my stock go up and get a lot more exposure. So like, you're getting exposure, which is a legitimate thing.
Right.
Honestly, I mean, we kind of scoff and laugh at it, but it's also a thing, which my story will tell you it is a thing. So I did this, it's funny because I was going to a K-pop concert in Chicago. So I'm like, oh, I'll just use the library in one of the really fancy libraries in Chicago to film my promo. And I did the promo, did the concert, sent it in, they put it online. A lot of people was getting a lot of chatter, and there's a lot of different videos that were getting a lot of chatter. And again, my numbers are going up and getting a lot of talk. So I'm like, nice, booking starting to get a little bit more. I'm like, oh, okay, I like it. But I didn't think anything else of it. I got paid. I was like, all right, cool. I'm riding a little bit of the popularity wave right now. I don't know how long it'll last, but we'll just go with it. I didn't really think about it, like there's some ups and downs. And to be 100% honest, I had mentally kind of quit wrestling in my brain. I didn't make an announcement or anything. It was just I was kind of frustrated with like I got told no by a lot of people. Like I was a lot of other companies were like, oh well maybe and then never got back to you where it got because I got the no from AEW before I did the video. But again, I didn't think it was an audition video. It was just doing a favor for Cody, right?
Right.
So, like what AEW said, they didn't need people. TNA has too many women right now. I've already done my thing with WWE. I don't really know where to go right now. I can't really afford to do Japan because I live in Florida and the cost of living is entirely way too much. So I can't afford to leave and still pay all my bills here. That type of thing. We're like, I don't really know where my career is going to go at this point. And I'm like, maybe I'm not going to make a big deal of it, but I'm not going to actively seek bookings. I'm just going to kind of quietly just
Withdraw.
I'm going to quietly just fade, and if something comes my way, cool. So that thought was on a Sunday. I'm doing a stream on Monday night and I get a text from Cody. Our plan worked. Huh? With literally my response. Huh?
Right.
You're in. And then I get another text literally at the same time because they were all in a meeting together from talent relations. Is this the Leva Bates' phone number? Yeah. We want to offer you a contract for the librarian. And then I'm getting a text same time from Cody going, yeah, you're the librarian. And I'm like, wait, I thought Peter was the librarian because I'd already heard rumor mill that he was the librarian. And like, we both are.
Nice.
And so I'm literally live on stream. I'm just like, hey guys, what's going on? I'll be right back. And I literally was like, had it put on the "we'll start soon" so I could be like, what?
Right.
So yeah, they offered me, and then Cody's like, wait, don't sign that yet. I think we're going to offer you an office contract too. And I'm like, what?
Hold on. We might get killed over here in the parking lot. Hold on.
Oh no.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Leva. Go ahead.
Oh my God. Dude. You
I
can
think
I
Brittany's
believe
getting
you. You can
nervous.
take whoever it is out.
Brittany's
But no,
getting
like
nervous over there.
lock
Go
your
ahead.
doors, roll up the windows.
This is the first,
Turn off
definitely.
all the lights.
Yeah, I've never been in fear of my life, but this is the first time on a podcast here. All right, go ahead, Leva.
Man, can you imagine? It'd be terrible. It'd be absolutely terrible. But can you
It
imagine
would.
if you got attacked in the middle of a podcast? Oh my God. They don't realize you're live on stream. Oh my God.
The algorithm will pick up, definitely. Oh, man. All right,
Man,
the
that'll go
librarian.
But yeah, so like it's like, wait, don't sign that yet. We're gonna offer you an office contract too. And I'm like,
Really?
literally the day before, I'm like, I think I'm done with the wrestling. I was literally on the plane flying home going, yeah, I think I'm done. I literally said to myself, I'm done. And then so when you're at your lowest time, because it's like, like at that, I'll be honest, that I was getting like a little bit of a high with all the BTE stuff. That was the only thing going on for me right now. Like my booking started to decline a little bit. Like again, with indie wrestling, sometimes there's money, sometimes there's no money. So it's like that ever thing going on. And I'm like, man, I should just focus more on like, maybe I can focus more on like performing, because I was working at Universal. I can go full time maybe and get paid, more an hour, get more hours, and be able to sustain my living that way. Because I do enjoy it. I love performing, but I was like, maybe I'll just do that. But then, yeah, the next day, literally not even 24 hours, I got the call. So it's crazy when you think you're almost at one of your lowest points. It changes.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that happened. So at the time, there was no TV show, there was no TV deal. They had just announced Double or Nothing, I believe.
Okay.
I assigned literally a little over a month right before Double or Nothing. So we hit the ground running. I ended up becoming Brandy's number 2. She was the chief brand officer. I was the chief brand officer coordinator, which meant I was running around like a crazy person. Because they pretty much were like, chief brand officer, you do everything. You're doing PR. You're going to run makeup. You're going to run wardrobe. You're going to run all of these connections with all of these other companies. And you're going to connect the dots. La, 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 la. You're going to do a lot of the social media. You're going to do a lot of the ideas for what we're going to do for photo shoots and stuff. So we're doing a million different things. So it was like, and then of course, eventually Brandy also started Heels, our all women's community for women who are into wrestling and wanted a safe place. Well, women and women identifying and people who are queer and outside, the cis male fandom, obviously, a safe place for them to just talk about wrestling and not be judged. So Heels was created for that. So we also ran Heels eventually, and it was like, and then we got the deal a little bit after Double or Nothing, and then that was like, oh, we got TV. What? It's even crazier. So like the crew and everything. So we had to get a whole makeup team and stuff, just hiring just for the one-time show. So it became a thing where we had a head makeup artist at the time. Her name was Jan. We were hand in hand ordering the entire supply unit and the things we needed to make a show run and happen. So it was literally grassroots from the ground up. We were building that. So just like connecting the dots and all the meetings and doing all the things, but also, hey, Leva, you're wrestling on Fighter Fest. Okay.
Man.
So I was like, so you're running things, but also entertaining. And then we're also doing BTE, which ended up becoming like one of my things I really felt like I excelled at, because it was more acting, it was more comedy, and I really feel like I shine in that because that's what I studied my entire life to do. And it's,
Right.
the storyline with Peter and I just kept growing and changing and doing different things. And yeah, it was a lot. I juggled. It was a lot of fun, a lot of stress. It was, again, with AEW, it's people forget AEW started and then kept going, adding a new show, and so the thing is, there's a lot of growing pains. So like a lot of the negativity you heard is because sometimes we're going faster than we could get people to come in and help with, or maybe you don't have the person to run that we need, like it's
Right.
when you have no show to one show and pay-per-views, and then now a secondary show, and then a show on YouTube as well as a skit show, it starts like,
Yeah.
so sometimes it went super smooth and sometimes there's a lot of growing pains. So it's still growing. I mean, today it still is. You can see like they're adding more and doing more and changing things and getting different TV deals. So it's definitely it's not just this is how it is. It's kind of like, I don't know if people can see
Right.
this or if it's just
They can
listening,
see
but
it.
like, how molecules and like things grow and it kind of like,
Right.
yeah, that's literally how AEW is moving and growing. Like
It is changing.
cells would pop out over here. Now this is a new pay-per-view they're adding, you know what I mean? And then here's where we added this, department now to help us with like, community services. You know what I mean? So it's like it keeps growing and growing. So it's interesting to see how, but then like, this is the issue, so then this has to shrink again. And then so it's kind of the ebb and flow of business, but it's wild to be there firsthand to see it, happening. It's crazy. So
It's awesome. What's the one match you want to have with someone in AEW that you didn't get a chance to have?
I never had a one-on-one with Sheeta. We've done a couple of multi-man or multi-women matches, multi-person matches, but I never had a one-on-one with her. I think that would have been really cool. Her and I had a lot in common. We're both like uber nerds. We have a lot of the same interests when it comes to like video games and comic books. And
Right.
I feel like maybe even outside of AEW, just because we could have a comic book match, you know what I mean? Like her and Doctor Strange and me and like, maybe a Spider-Man and I don't know, whatever. We could just throw in because I have a million
Batman.
costumes. You know what I mean? Exactly, Batman. So anything, like I feel like it's unlimited what we could do together and against, as opponents or even as partners. I feel like we have so much in common. I would love to have a longer match with Abaddon. We had one, was it a dark, I think? I can't remember what channel it was on or what show it was on, but her had one. It was really fun. I would love to do another match with Abaddon. They are fantastic. I think they're very underrated. I would love to do a fuller one, maybe. Or now that we've both grown a little bit, you know what I mean? I would love to see maybe Abaddon versus Leva and Mother, because I've been doing this psycho thing. And some of the indie places I work, not all of them. I do whatever, like I feel like. Sometimes it's librarian, sometimes it's Mother and Leva, sometimes it's fun cosplay. Sometimes it's randomly blue pants if I can find a pair. Like it's
You gotta sell those. You gotta make a shirt.
right? Yeah. But no, like it'd be awesome to see Mother versus Abaddon. I think that'd be fun.
I think that would be awesome. Yeah.
So,
Leva, thank you for coming on the podcast. I know.
oh my God, are we already up? This went by so fast. I talk a lot. I'm sorry.
You got a flight in the morning. You got to get some rest, Leva.
That is true. I haven't packed yet. I should probably pack.
You should pack.
So,
Let me go over the stuff real quick.
Pack this belt. I remember David said pack the belt, so I have to pack this belt.
Oh,
it is
definitely.
my women's championship belt from Atomic Legacy Wrestling. I am their longest reigning women's champ, and like most times being women's champ. So I
Wow,
am
that's great.
the face of women wrestling in Atomic. No, but no,
Awesome.
seriously, I am. So I'm bringing that. I guess people want to see it. So thank you. My
Definitely.
back's gonna get real heavy, but it's worth it.
I'll be there with my championship, the 23/6 YouTube Heavyweight Championship.
Oh,
I
what?
am
What is that? So, does
the
that mean
20
continue?
the
I can
tw-
have it.
the 20. Whoa, Leva, just stick to your own Atomic title. Don't worry about the 23/6 title.
That's
All
fair.
right,
Okay.
let's. I'll definitely see you tomorrow at big event. I'll come say hi. But let's go over the stuff you got going on. You got big event obviously tomorrow, Saturday, November 9th. Then you'll be at Victory Pro Wrestling for Blue November against Kyla Knight, followed by NYWC on Sunday for a special in-ring signing. And then it'll be WrestleCade the whole weekend. Leva's going to be there, courtesy
Yeah.
of TNS Wrestling Collectibles. And of course, there's Ladies Night Out 14. I want to give a special shout out to David. Hold on. Of TNS Wrestling Collectibles. Contact Coach Dave73 at AOL.com for some wrestling needs. I need some figures too, David. We'll talk. We'll talk tomorrow.
Ooh, buy it.
Bye. Thank you, Leo, for coming on. I'll also be at big event. I'll be hanging out with a whole group of people. I got PJ Savage, the TCW champion, Frankie Picard from Celebrity Boxing as well, TCW, Tiffany Avatar, the Cotton County Princess, Amity LeVay. I'm really scared of her, Leva. She has pliers. And of course, the center of attention sitting next to me,
Yeah.
Brittany Brooks. Hold on, Brittany.
Woohoo! Yeah. There you are. I thought you were gonna hop in more of of this conversation. I was like, all right, let's go. But
I felt bad. I didn't want to talk. I was like, I didn't want to be annoying.
We're worried about our lives here, Leva.
All right, I locked the doors a couple minutes ago.
She did lock the doors.
I'm glad you guys ended up being safe.
I dropped the phone. Leva, thank you for coming on. Hold on for a second. Everybody else, I'll see you next week, and I'll see you tomorrow at big event.